Hello, my friends. Welcome in. We're here to talk about the USA Bolivia friendly that happened on May 28th, Memorial Day of 2018. Bolivia had 11 uncapped players on their roster. Its manager managed his club team the day before and flew in the morning of the game. Only 2 players that were on Bolivia's World Cup qualifying attempt roster were in the squad, and Bolivia finished 9th out of 10 in CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying with a 4-2-12 record. But USA, we won, baby, right? Listen, it's really hard to judge anything from this game aside from putting our potential Olympic qualifying team on the pitch. And maybe that alone is worth getting excited about. With that being said, here are some thoughts. Of the 3 goals USA scored, only 1 was from a real run of play. Yes, I know. You take the goals that are given to you in any competition. You take them. You absolutely understood. But out jumping a non-starter for the second worst CONMEBOL team on a corner kick isn't as exciting when you're reminded of who you're playing against. You'd think 99% of the time a goalkeeper doesn't make that poor of a distribution to hand you your second goal, unless it's Lars Karius. Oh, that pains me. So the third goal, a great cross from Anthony Robinson that we will talk about in a minute, is the only one from real run of play. So it's not as exciting when you put it into that kind of context for me. So what about the individual performances? I'm not going to run through the whole team because that would take a very long time, because this time Dave Sarakin used all his substitutes. Well done, Dave. Well done. But let's look at some names here. Christian Pulisic looked tired. Now, I'm not dogging the kid. He's 19 years old. We have to be reminded of that. It's a lot for a 19-year-old. He had a up and down season in the Bundesliga with Dortmund. He is apparently the savior of U.S. soccer, right? Like, that seemed to be the plan in Trinidad and Tobago. It's like, just get the ball to Christian and he'll make some magic happen. He's 19 years old. What were you doing at 19? Were you on the international stage making lots of money and people putting microphones in your face to ask you about the failure to get to the World Cup and blah, blah, blah? Plus, he had to fly all the way back from Germany, right, to get to the United States. Now, I know Dortmund is doing their summer tour and whatever, but that's going to take it out of you, especially after a long season. He looked like a guy that needed a vacation, and the commentators of the game actually talked about that, how they talked about what he was excited about. He's like, I just want to see my dog. You know, like, he's 19. Plus, he was played out of position as a number 8.5. So he was played in central midfield rather than on the wing, because the U.S. appears to be going to a 4-1-4-1 type formation, because I know we've seen success at the U20 level with that. And maybe they're trying to get some, continuity, right? Like you move from the U17 to the U20, U20 to the senior team, we're playing the same system. Great. But I think we all know Pulisic is much better like on the right wing, moving up and down the pitch and then cutting in and being dangerous, rather than as part of those 2 central midfielders in that bank of 4 and having to get forward but also get back and get forward and get back. He's much more dangerous on the wing. So he's played out of formation. He's had a long professional season. He's 19. I don't think you take much from it, aside from, hey, Dave, it's the 88th minute. You might take him out of the game before he takes like a very strong kick straight to the face. Like, unnecessary. Anthony Robinson, who I mentioned a couple minutes ago, left back, potential left back of the future, looked very solid. Everton prospect, they loaned him out. I want to say I think it was Bolton last season. But fullback in general is a position that the U.S. has zero depth at if somebody gets injured. So it was really encouraging to see him play well. Again, you have to understand the level of competition, but he looked really good. And the cross he gave in, I mean, while Tim Weah was running off across half of the field and pounding his chest and, whatever, it's all about me, I was looking for him to like, hey, Anthony, great cross. And I didn't see that. Because the cross made the goal. Like, perfect ball across the 6-yard box. Goalkeeper is left in no man's land. And then Weah, to be fair, does slot it home. But the left back bombing forward there on that left wing to cross that ball in, that made that goal. Speaking of Weah, this is pure speculation. Pure speculation. So take it for what it's worth, what you paid for it, which is absolutely nothing. But I'm basing it off of some of the things I heard the commentators in the booth say during the game. They said that Tim Weah wants to make a name for himself, which is understandable. Totally get it. He doesn't want to be known as the son of George Weah because that keeps coming up, like World Player of the Year, President of Liberia, blah, 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 blah. He wants to make a name for himself, which makes complete sense. Everybody wants to do that. But I felt after hearing that talk at the beginning of the game, I felt like a little bit of his play during the game was for himself and not for the team. Like, he's looking to be the star. He's looking to be the guy that makes the big goal. So everybody knows it's Tim Weah, not George Weah. It's Tim Weah, which, again, I think is understandable. But the goal celebration, when he slotted that cross in, was the pinnacle of that for me. I did not see. Now, I didn't see the, maybe the camera cut away or whatever. I didn't see him. As soon as that ball went into the back of the net, I didn't see him point at Anthony and say, like, that is an amazing cross. You made that goal. Let's go celebrate together. He was concerned about himself and ran off, like, to the corner flag, and then halfway down the line, doing this. It's all about me, while his teammates, like, chased behind him like a herd of kittens or something like that. And they eventually all, hugged together and whatever. But if I'm Anthony Robinson, I'm going like, bro, like, can you at least give me the, hey, good job? Something like that. I didn't see it. After the game, U.S. Soccer hands him a cell phone and has him record something to put on Twitter. And he essentially said, as a Sherman guys, all you guys know, excited to be here, score my first, international goal, la 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 la. It just seemed a little bit to me about like, it's all about me. It's all about me versus it's all about the team. Something to watch moving forward. I know you want to make a name for yourself, Tim. It is a team game. It's not 1 on 11. At least it shouldn't be. Weston McKennie looks solid, if not a little bit too aggressive at times. I wouldn't call it clumsy because I'm not playing defensive midfield for the U.S. men's national team. But you kind of want that in a midfielder. Like, he sent some messages last night, and there was one play kind of towards the end of the game where he went in for a tackle. Ball pops loose, guy lands on him. He hops back up and continues after the ball. That's the kind of tenacity at the end of a game when you're up. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 at that point that you want out of your defensive midfielder. The guy plays for Schalke. He's done really, really well for himself. Now, to be fair, you're like, well, hey, he had more energy than Pulisic. Well, he also got injured in the middle of the season and didn't have to play the whole season. So you got to take that into consideration. Josh Sargent's goal was less to do about Sargent for me than Bolivia's keeper emulating Loris Karius's distribution and still nearly stopping the shot. He got a hand on it, but it was hit with enough power to get to the hand wasn't in the right position and was kind of flapped at it. But for a kid that hasn't played a professional minute yet, because he just signed for Werder Bremen in January when he turned 18, think about that. He's not played a professional minute yet, but last year he played in the U17 and U20 World Cups and was called up to the Portugal friendly, but like pulled his hamstring or something, and wasn't able to play. And now he's had his first start for the U.S. men's national team, senior team, without having played a professional minute. There might be some potential there. He looks comfortable on the small international stage. So again, it wasn't like he carried the ball through 4 defenders and juked him and then slotted it home. It was really poor distribution, and he stopped it and kicked it really hard. So I'm not saying that I wasn't excited about the goal. I was happy for him. But again, it wasn't from the run of play. And how many times, aside, I guess, from the Champions League final, it pains me as a Liverpool fan, do you see something like that happen with a really poor distribution where the striker picks it up and slots it home? You can't count on that, I guess, is my point. It has to be like you have to have it coming from the run of play, because as you play against better competition, you're going to think those types of situations with the backup goalkeeper aren't going to happen. At least not in a way that you can count on it. Interesting note about Keaton Parks, who is subbed in the second half. He's 6'4". I saw this tweet. I'm going to have it pop up over here. Last night from, I think it's Yves Galarsep of Goal USA and SBI Soccer. Can you imagine being a junior in high school, which for those of you that aren't familiar with the U.S. system is like 16 or so? Can you imagine growing 7 inches after your junior year? Like, that's a heck of a late bloom, what we would call a late bloomer, to grow 7 inches after your junior year. That's a growth spurt. He also, he's signed by Benfica. Pretty good. pretty good. And to be fair, when you look at the squad, there's a lot of players that aren't playing in the U.S. because obviously you can't get as much good experience in the U.S. Anthony Robertson is an Everton product, or not product, but he plays for Everton. Obviously, Pulisic's at Dortmund, McKennie's at Schalke, Keaton Parks is at Benfica. You know, like there's a bunch of players that aren't playing on U.S. soil for their professional clubs. So the U.S. got a win. It's better than a draw against Portugal's B team or Bosnia and Herzegovina's B or C team, which happened, right? But the real question we have to ask ourselves is this, and this hurts to ask. Could this squad of youngsters pull off, at minimum, a draw against Trinidad and Tobago? Trinidad is ranked, FIFA rankings right now, 92nd in the world. Bolivia is 57th. Now, to be fair, neither of these squads were the full-strength squads. But Bolivia did finish 9th in CONMEBOL with 12 losses, 2 draws, and 4 wins. What do you think? Could this squad of youngsters have gone to Trinidad and Tobago and pulled off a draw where the regular starters for the U.S. men's national team failed? Let me know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this, make sure you hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. We're going to talk about, I don't know if I'll do one for just the Ireland game or for the Ireland and the friendlies together, but we'll take care of that next time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll see you then.